That's true. That's true. And in this case, that actually applies. So
Dominate.
What did they do? They shut him out.
They dominated.
You're not going to get anywhere close to scoring tonight.
It was like 500 yards to like 200.
100, not even, like 100 and something.
Yeah,
that sack brought him down.
It was a complete mismatch in terms of personnel and effort. And in terms
Don't discount the second part of that.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Right. The effort just wasn't there for Philadelphia. They... we talk about these games as
you want to get out of that soft zone at some point?
I'd like to call it a glorified practice for Philadelphia, but it wasn't even that. I don't know what
it wasn't
that was.
as competitive as the practices that Mike and I watched.
Yeah,
it wasn't.
In practice, you at least
Not even close.
It didn't have anywhere near the intensity that the two practices did.
Well, in a glorified practice, you would have the guys out there who are seemingly going to play, practicing to play, and it wasn't even that.
Your point, Hardy, I think is really relevant. Mike and I will tell. I mean, I'm not trying to be like a know-it-all. Like, we were at practice. They were trying harder at practice. Both teams.
Sure.
The Patriots were trying harder at practice, too, than they did tonight.
Yeah, well, I think there's a certain element of, how much can you get up for, this type of game when you see what your opponent is bringing to it. But they got up to the point where they hung 35 on them. They shut them out on the other side of the ball. And for what it's worth, the Pats moved to 2-0 on this preseason, and they'll have one more a week from Sunday. All of that is way down the road. We got to do the good, the bad, and the injured before we do anything else.
Now it's time for the good.
Pretty good. It's pretty good.
The bad.
If you were in my toilet bowl, I wouldn't bother flushing it.
And the injured.
You are a gay!
Good, the bad, and the injured brought to you by the good players, the bad players, and the players who fell down and got hurt. So we'll start off with the goods tonight. Yes, with Mike Dussault, who's champing at the bit. What?
Yeah, let me start. No, I'm going to go with Cam. I'm going to put Cam on there first. I wanted to see a lot of Cam. We only saw 3 series of him. But I thought he looked pretty good. I mean, I think that this is what we've been talking about. I think, though, it was a little more to work with this one. And I think there were some that, just showed some patience in the pocket. On the one of Myers, it felt like, maybe last year you felt like he was on a different time pace than the play should be. And, it just felt like he was in rhythm a lot. It felt like he was a little more comfortable. There were a couple of times where I felt like, oh, he's going to take off and run. But he didn't. He held up. He made some throws. I thought that, the one to Myers, none of them were particularly, crazy downfield kind of accuracy, anything like that. But I just think he put the ball where it needed to be. He threw with good velocity. And, and he took what was there and let the offense do the work for him. So, we talk about not competitive, the Eagles, but I think this is the stuff Newton needs. Even if it's against those guys, he needs the experience, he needs the confidence, and I think he's going to come out of this game with more confidence, and and hopefully he can carry that into next week and the more additional work they're going to do before the preseason.
I agree with Mike. I had Cam, up high on my list too, and it's not necessarily I think he was very accurate tonight, and I thought the first throw to Myers was an example of it, and I mentioned it on the broadcast. I think if he puts that out in front of him, Myers gets lit up, and I think he recognized that it was a zone and there was a soft spot there, and he had to sort of put it on him rather than out in front of him, and I think he did. And Mike's point about the velocity, I think, is a really good one. I think he was stepping into almost all of his throws. He had a couple of screens and scrambles, but out of his completions, I think he only had one bad throw that White bailed him out on, and even that was a good play to avoid a sack, move around. He just threw it a little high.
Yeah, he threw it a little high on the run, and it's a tough throw. It's still one that you would like your starting quarterback to be able to make, but let's look at we looked at the numbers last week. We'll look at them tonight, and tonight I think they're reflective of his performance. He was 8 of 9 for 103 yards. He had a touchdown pass tonight. And, the Myers throw, I think, is a good example. All right, it still doesn't look great on the release. It looks like he is exerting a lot of effort to not throw the ball that far without a ton of zip on it.
But I thought there was some zip on it. That's what Mike's point about the velocity, that's what I was fixated on. I thought he was stepping up in the pocket and throwing it hard.
Okay, stepping up in the pocket and what he looks like when he's releasing the ball.
He's still throwing boulders.
Right.
You're right about that.
But he is,
but accurate boulders. It seems like he's putting them on.
There's nothing wrong with watching the pass. When you see the effort it takes to throw the pass that way, I'm like, wow. If pick any like real good, solid passing quarterback, a top 10 guy out of the last 10 years. That's the pass. Those there's throwing that look like they're barely moving. It's a body. It's a hip swivel for Cam.
Not a dump off. Not a shallow cross.
Yeah,
that first
down.
one steps up in the pocket. Boom, 18
Right.
yards.
But
in the air, 18 yards. You got hit when he caught it. Wouldn't get any yak.
This is good list Cam, and I tell you what, that pass to Myers that he got crunched on. That's sometimes you're going to get crunched, and
the touchdown throw
field.
was very accurate on the out.
Right.
The dig route, I think Zoe called it. I try to like figure out what all the different routes are by listening to Zoe, because obviously he's an NFL quarterback. That one he puts it right. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. The man's a child.
He's not wrong about the mayo on the hot dog.
He's wrong
It's
about
a
virtually
warm
everything
bologna
other than
sandwich.
football.
It's a warm bologna sandwich.
First of all, who likes bologna sandwiches?
8-year-old
When's
Mike
the last
Dussault,
time you
I
had
think,
one?
I haven't had one since I realized bologna's not good.
Okay.
So maybe since I was 4.
Okay, try one. I had one maybe a year
Gross.
ago. I said, you know what? Delightful.
When you think about it,
Okay,
it's really a
so
warm
I think we
bologna
all
sandwich.
agree.
It
I
is.
thought preseason, opponent, whatever, that's about as comfortable as we've seen Cam.
Yeah.
Sure. And,
Right?
Yep.
So he
and if he
belongs in
does
the
lead
list.
Myers more on that throw, Myers is killed.
Gets killed.
Right? Instead, he just got crunched, and sometimes that's going to happen, so that's not on Cam. I thought he looked really good tonight.
Yep.
I'm not saying capital G great.
Yeah, I
without
was kind
Cam-
of bummed like the first time he takes over on the 9-yard line. You're like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
geez, you're going to hand the ball off a couple times and be in the end zone. What are we really going to see, though? And then he got the ball the next time. They drove all the way down the field, and I think that was the one they missed the field goal on. And then the next time they went right down the field again, and he scored a touchdown.
Cam's performance tonight, if you look at it just, and forget about who he's playing and who he's out there playing against, just the way he looked, Paul, the way he moved up in the pocket, he moved around a little bit. The one time I thought he held on to the ball a little too long. I think he got the guy he wanted on probably, when he was doing the reads, and it was probably option 3. I'm like, okay, you know what? It wasn't that bad. He had the time. He used the time. Watching that performance tonight, again, in a vacuum, ignoring the competition, the level they brought, makes me feel better about week 1 of the regular season.
Yeah.
Like, that's a guy that I could see quarterbacking my team at least
Yeah.
at the start of the year.
All right. I will, I guess I'll go next, and I will say Mac Jones, just because he came in, saw the guy in front of him play well, and he matched him. Yeah. I don't think he was quite as good, but the first drive, like just a lot of sloppiness on that drive, and to overcome it all.
Yeah.
I mean, he got some breaks. I mean, converted 3rd down on a hold. But they also had a couple of holding penalties on that drive. And I thought, aside from the very first throw that I was like, that's the arm strength that we're talking about when he didn't get it there, I thought the throws were just everything I would say about Cam, I would say about Mac. Decisive, stepping into it with some velocity on it.
Yeah.
Some good throws from Mac Jones tonight.
Yeah.
And it's too bad that a perfectly thrown bomb doesn't get caught. Now, this one was a much easier play than the one he threw to Wilkerson last week. This ball's got to be caught by Harry. We'll get to him later.
Yeah.
But another really good step forward for Mac Jones.
Yeah, I agree with Paul. I would just I would highlight, the 3rd and 13 pass to Harry that, found, out of his own end zone, backed up. That's, a situation. That's what you want to see.
Poise in his end zone.
And then I'd also say coming out at the half and again, going into hurry up and looking comfortable. And, I know it's a lot to process when you're coming out like that and wanting to go fast and having a plan and knowing what you need to do. So I thought Matt continues to make progress. I would agree with your overall point, though. I think, Cam does just maybe look a little bit more ready than Mac at this point, but it's all positive right now for him, and I think he's made remarkable strides for first round.
It's all ball bearings nowadays.
Mac of the come on, it's so simple. Hey,
Jim Swarthout?
13 of 19 for 146 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. Again, reading Twitter and reading some of the reports, there's a trending story in the NFL. Let's see if you agree with this just on the quarterback battle here. NFL trending, Mac Jones. As the battle for starting quarterback on the Patriots roster continues, rookie Mac Jones takes center stage in New England's preseason game against the Eagles. I think the quarterback story of this game is not Mac Jones. I think it's Cam Newton.
Yeah, it's the starter
Now,
who came in and
Mac had more snaps. He played longer. But if you wanted to, maybe he was center stage, but he was upstaged by Cam and the way he started the game.
I just don't see how you could have really played it. I mean, again, you can only control. He played 3 series and was, for his perspective, he was pretty much flawless on his 3 series.
Who's the story of the game tonight in terms of quarterbacks?
I would say.
It's
I would say Cam because I think it's Cam Newton. I would say it was Cam because I think we haven't really seen that from him.
Right.
That's
the
kinds
what
of throws
wanted.
that he made tonight. I haven't really seen from him.
And I would have loved to seen a little more, another series or 2, but we'll take what we can get.
I know. I would have loved to have seen one more. I'll go with my first good of the night, Stevenson.
Yeah.
That was fantastic. I mean, it's again, the level of competition.
I have him on a different list.
What?
Did you get hurt? Way to fumble too.
Can't fumble.
Okay, you can't.
I like the fumble though. I mean, I like it for reasons of levity, and I mean, before that point, I felt. I mean, I had him on the good list. I was wow. I mean, he's showing us speed last week. He showed us power this week. You can't fumble it, but I think that's a moment that's going to keep him grounded for the next couple of weeks as we go forward.
Okay, now I have him both. I have him and J.J. Taylor on my good list.
I have Taylor strongly on my good list. I thought he was.
But I
outstanding.
don't. I can't discount the 2 touchdowns from Stevenson tonight.
Yeah. Okay.
No, it's a strong run. I mean, that run he had.
You have him on your bad list?
No, I didn't have him on either
But
list.
you don't have him on.
But I would have had him on the good. I actually went a different direction on running backs. We'll talk about that in a second. But
all right.
I have something else.
Our
on the
first disagreement of the good bad list preseason.
Not a strong disagreement.
I loved his performance today. I could easily put him on the good list. I just kept him in the middle just because of the fumble. But I actually put Sony on my good list.
Yep.
Because I think he started to show catching
for
and
both.
the dual threat and the ability to run hard. And I thought that was the most balanced we've seen Sony look. I think that he could be an ideal kind of Rex Burkhead replacement if he can kind of continue that. I love what I saw out of him. I think he's got a role. I was surprised. I mean, we've been waiting for this to kind of happen, and he just looked real comfortable catching the ball.
4 catches on 4 targets.
It's
great to see.
Some of them were good plays. Like he made some good catches, and then was able to one he made a guy miss in the open field after he caught it, turned it up for a sizable gain. Looked like James White. Yeah, that's the kinds of plays that James White makes. I agree strongly with Sony Michel. I thought he looked good tonight.
We won't count that as your next turn.
I get to go.
So
no, it's all right. You can count it. Why don't you let Paulie go?
We talked about that second offensive line a little bit on the broadcast. Like they were just plowing out holes. And again, I think Marcus Martin's in like his 6th year. Alex Redmond, fifth year, like 5 years of starting experience. These guys should be dominated, but Yadni Kajust.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Did you say like backup line? Is that what you?
The backup line.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, they just completely dominated the second half of the game.
Yeah.
I mean, J.J. Taylor ends up with 12 for 93, Stevenson 15 for 66, and Michel 7 for 34. Damien Harris 6 for 14. He wasn't so good tonight.
Talk about it.
But when those backups got in, man, they were just blowing out holes for the other backs.
Yeah, I put it down as Cunningham and Kajust, who kind of
popped
me,
those
but
two
I had
guys,
those two together.
Cunningham had the holding call early. Kajust, though, did you see him pulling on that?
Yeah.
He killed a guy.
They're just as good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why don't you guys do it like a separate O-line podcast or something?
No, we're done. We're done.
Good.
Your turn.
That's all.
Your turn.
That's all.
Oh, my turn. I want to give credit to the entire defense just for, pitching the shutout and doing everything. Not everybody played great. I thought there were a few plays that I thought they kind of got lucky on. I thought that the Eagles had some timely drops for them, and I did think that they were a little soft in that, first 10 yards off the line, that maybe they were giving them some space there on purpose to see if they could, again, work in the tackling in the glorified practice. If you're going to single out one guy, I thought Bentley was good tonight. But
I thought Bentley was good tonight too.
But
I think he's had a good camp too.
But just defensively, you can only play who they're putting out there against you, and
they were dominant.
And they dominated them, and for whatever that's worth against that Eagles offense tonight, if you can call it that. Credit to the defense for having a good night. It was a shutout.
Yeah.
So
credit to them.
Agreed.
I heard Paul talking a little bit about this guy. I got to put Jacoby Myers on there. I just was excited to see him get that touchdown. I know it might have been a little bittersweet. He hasn't gotten a touchdown in the regular season yet. He gets one in the preseason. But tough run. That was something we haven't really seen out of him, where he just kind of lowered his shoulder and kind of powered through it. But the tough catch where he got lit up across the middle. He got here my first year, and it's just been kind of cool watching his development going from.
You guys kind of broke in together.
Oh yeah, we broke in together.
Yeah, played in the minors together.
But going to see, just seeing him up close as a wide-eyed, undrafted rookie, trying to make the team with Tom Brady to the point he's at now, where he's reliable receiver, cutting across the middle. It's really cool to see. I'm excited for him, and I think he's a big part of the team this year.
Yeah, I had Myers on my list too, and just to piggyback with Hardy a little bit on the defense, and I agree with you, Hardy, that it's tough to sort of individualize it, but one aspect really jumped out again on the very first drive of the game, 3rd and 1.
Yeah, big stop.
Big stop by Kyle Van Noy, comes in and fills the hole. That's an area that they were absolutely dreadful in last year, and that's 2 games, 2 stops. Good sign. So I agree with Hardy. Like, what did is it Judon again for break it? Yeah. It's kind of I guess it was the second drive of the game that they had the 3rd and 1 stop, because the first drive was
fumble,
the aborted play. Listen, I'm not going to go as crazy as the broadcast did on Matt Judon causing that fumble on a snap that goes 25 yards behind the line of scrimmage, but I do look at the 3rd and 1 as like a fairly relevant play, right?
Yeah.
That's a problem they've had, and now that's 2 weeks in a row they came up big. Anyone check on the center for Philadelphia? Did he have an episode of some kind? Because that snap was something special. I don't know if it slipped. It had an awful lot of pepper on it for something that slipped. I don't know what to make of something like that.
I know that's your point. Like, that was part of what you're talking about. I was like, it looked like Philly had a little something going coming out. They went boom and, nice run, nice pass. They got a little something going. They're at midfield, just marching along on first down, and the ball goes 9 miles over the quarterback's head.
I didn't really think Judon was like that. He had a couple plays, but I just love that he's back in there again in the middle of that. And I like seeing Mills get the recovery. I feel like he's a guy that needs to make some plays here to kind of, get it going. He needs to get it going.
What you guys think of Olszewski's night? I was surprised to see that he caught all 4 that were sent his way, and that he had a long of 21. I'm like, I kind of remember a long, but in terms of
I
think he caught 2 from Hoyer, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, there must have been a long one there toward the end. But in terms of receiving, on a night where they put up 35, and you're like, oh, how do the receivers play? Like, Myers. Beyond that, I really can't tell you much about the receiving corps.
Yeah, I'll tell you. I think Gunnar was fine. I think he contributed as a receiver, and I wouldn't argue if you had him on the good list.
I don't.
For that.
That's why I kind of said, what'd you guys think? Because maybe I missed something, but
on the fine list.
The Hoyer. Yeah, like maybe a catch or 2 from Hoyer to kind of help those numbers a little bit.
The defense that the Eagles played tonight really played to the strengths of the Patriots. That's what they eat up. Yeah. Those soft zones, they eat it up.
Yeah.
What other goods do you have there?
I got Harvey.
I had Harvey too.
Harvey. I think he's a guy that they've always kind of liked. That's why they brought him back. I remember the stories about that they liked him before he was going to come out anyway. And I think they need some linebacker depth, and I think he can run a little bit. The plays on the ball, he just was flying around making plays. It was the best I really remember seeing him play. And now obviously a nice interception that he picked up as well. So I think he's kind of making a little bit of a push here, and that hopefully he can kind of build off of that performance. But I think there could be a roster spot for him.
There might be a spot with those injuries that they've had. I agree. And I think he showed some explosiveness.
Yeah, he looked quick.
Yeah. He was around the ball all night. Him and Cash Malawiya.
Who else you got there, Paulie Paul?
My last guy that I had on the good list was Chase Winovich.
Yeah.
And it started bad for him, but I thought he really bounced back. And again, when you're out there you're a third-year guy who's played, and you're playing against guys that are just getting into the league. You should dominate. He dominated. He was in the backfield. That's what he does well. He gets after the passer. That was a good highlight game for him. Watch the transaction wire in the next couple of weeks because teams are watching that game tonight, and they're saying, he's available?
He's a guy that maybe we have room for outside of third down situations. We could actually use him a little bit more.
Yeah, and this is
the
why
Patriots are gonna
that's
end
why
up
I
using
threw
him.
that to Zoe. I was hoping he might be able to explain why his skill set doesn't necessarily translate to what the Patriots want to do in terms of setting the edge and doing all those different things. If he could get to someone's system that just says, we don't care about you if you're going to do that. We just want to get you going after the quarterback and using your speed and athleticism. Really effective in those tackle end stunts tonight.
You did. You teed it up nice for Zoe, and he talked about cheesesteaks.
Yeah, he punted.
I just
no, he gave you a little something.
I just think it's funny that we didn't watch the game together and basically had the same exact up list. Because Chase was
adorable.
Guy, it is adorable.
Because I had
you guys should go to Jersey Mike's together.
Hey, I'll show you the app if you need it.
It's funny because I had Chase.
We tapped that app.
Do you share a punch card?
I had Chase was sitting here on my as my last one, and I'm like, I don't know. I think I'm gonna get Paul on this one. I can't. I don't think he's gonna. And then you said Chase. I'm like, but I'm with you on Chase, and I'm gonna take a little bit different approach to him. I think they need him this year. I think they keep him. I think what they said on the broadcast. Just that's what he does. Rush the passer. Go on third down. He's got more lively legs and energy than probably anybody else on the. Everyone wants to talk about how amazing Uche is. I don't know. At least I know Winovich has played and produced a little bit. So
and we'll get to Uche.
I know we'll get to him, but
that's
I think
part of this equation too.
I think there's use for Chase Winovich, and I think he could play a significant role on this team, even if it's just as a pass rusher and a special teams guy like he's been doing. But I think they can use him.
Oh,
that's the player.
Is he our guest?
Unfortunately
not.
Let's go to the boss man here on the Patriots Postgame show. Fred Kirsch joining us from Philadelphia. Hello, Fred.
Hey, unfunny Hardy.
What am I
coming in hot?
How, unfunny? How? How am I unfunny to you?
How don't I amuse you?
Yeah.
Well, you and your break stuff. It's an old shtick now.
It's 2 weeks.
New material.
It's not
new material.
Oh my God! Wait till about week 10 of the regular season. You think you're tired of it now? All right. So how about that effort from Philadelphia? First of all, before we start heaping praise on the Patriots.
I wanted to call in because I don't know if you guys talked about it, but I just thought it was really weird how Philly approached this game. Like no starters on defense pretty much whatsoever. Jalen Hurts doesn't play. I just thought it was weird how they approached the game. And, I didn't know if you guys had touched on that.
All right. Well, Fred.
We did, but we're going to have to put you on hold for a second, Freddie.
We're going to put you on hold. We have Jacoby Myers waiting, if you don't mind.
Go to Jacoby.
Okay. All right. We appreciate you holding there, Fred. And we go to Jacoby Myers after a big win in preseason game number 2 for the Patriots tonight. Jacoby, you're on with Hardy and Mike Dussault and Paul Perillo. Thanks for joining us.
No problem. I appreciate Fred for letting me talk for a little bit.
We couldn't get him off fast enough. Hey, Jacoby, great run on the touchdown, and just what did you kind of see on that play? Seemed like you just kind of barreled in there, and I know your first touchdown. I know it's on the preseason, but how'd it feel to get in the end zone? A little bit of taste maybe for the regular season coming up.
It felt great. I mean, anytime you get an opportunity to score, I feel like whether it's the preseason or postseason or regular season, it all feels amazing. So I'm just blessed to have the opportunity, and the coaches trusted me to put the ball in my hands. I just had to do something with it when I got it.
Jacoby, can you sort of talk a little bit about the differences, if there are any, between playing with Cam and playing with Mac, and just sort of how do you adjust to each of their styles?
I wouldn't necessarily. I mean, the only thing that I really know is one's taller than the other. So just knowing that if Mac is in there, I got to be able to know the ball is coming through the line. Cam's in there, the ball's coming over the line. So as far as like just style thing, I feel like the Patriots do a good job of making sure everything's consistent. So whoever's in there, they expect the same standard. So I just got to run my routes and catch the ball.
Well, you did that tonight, and I got to say, Patriots fans, I think as a whole, I continue to root for you and just want to see you continue to ascend. And it seems like you got a bit of that in Philadelphia tonight. Did you have a sense of the Patriots fans that were there tonight? Because it looked like they kind of turned out.
Definitely. I mean, I saw a lot of Patriots jerseys in there. It was actually surprising to see. I know Philly is a real hostile place to play, but to see all that blue out there and those white and blue jerseys and blue and white jerseys, it felt real good to see them.
So, Jacoby, you get 2 practices down there. You finish off with a strong win tonight. I mean, just how do you feel overall coming out of Philadelphia, the time you spent there practicing, playing? You know, how do you guys feel coming out of there with a win like this? Productive week for you guys?
I feel like it was a great week for the whole team, honestly. I feel like we definitely took some steps forward. And like I said, it's just a building block. We're going to keep trying to grow, keep trying to get better, use this as momentum, and hopefully put a good product when day one comes against Miami.
What did you think of the practices and I guess in general the joint practices, Jacoby? You know, how do you feel about them? Is that a good way, do you think, to sort of break up training camp for you?
Definitely. I think we definitely got better this week, you know. And Philly, I mean, the score might not have showed it tonight, but that's a good team. And just going against their defense, their starters, and everybody who's out there, they definitely put a lot of effort on the field in practice, and just competing against them every day, I feel like we got a lot better.
All right. Well, Jacoby, that was fun to watch tonight. A really dominant performance for the whole team, and we appreciate you taking time after the game to talk to us. Thanks, Jacoby.
And make sure you say hello to your dad for us.
Oh, definitely.
He loves to listen to us. You know, he's a smart man. He knows how much we bring to the table.
I agree with you there.
All right. All right. Take care. Thank you.
Save that soundbite, Matt.
Yeah.
All right.
Myers.
There he goes. Jacoby Myers joining us.
Yeah,
here
he's been their best receiver, I think, throughout camp. I think
consistency.
almost every day he's been their best. There was like a really small time very early on that you and I were looking at each other, Mike, and like, maybe Jacoby kind of going to go on the back burner here with Aguilar and Bourne here, but no, he's been their top receiver virtually every day.
And Fred Kirsch back on with us now from Philadelphia. I didn't know how to say it without sounding, like I was kissing his butt, but he's one of these players. I think it's a rarity where it's like, okay, maybe the production hasn't been there for a variety of reasons, but Patriots fans still seem to be like fully in his camp. It's like all they want is for him to continue to kind of grow and produce.
It's a good story.
And be that. Yeah. He is a good story. And I think
converted quarterback.
And Fred, maybe I'm seeing this wrong, but because you've got the pulse of the people. You talk to him a lot on the blogs and stuff. Fred Kirsch, oh my God, that's what they call him, Pulse Keeper.
Pulse Keeper.
Yeah.
I think Jacoby Myers is one of these guys that people just continue to root for.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah, I appreciate Jacoby, cutting it short for me. But no. New England fans love the underdog. They love the guy that comes from nowhere and makes a name for himself like Edelman did. And now it seems Jacoby Myers is, on that track. We love that story.
Absolutely. All right. So, Fred, what were your takeaways in terms of the quarterback play tonight from Cam and Mac?
Well, like I said, so Cam comes in and he's playing immediately against second stringers. And you could see the time he had and how open the field was. And listen, credit to him, he completed the passes. They weren't always pretty throws, but they got there. But, he had all day, let's face it. And the coverage was loose. And so, that kind of, screwed up our evaluation a little bit.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
I don't know. Well, you're seeing the all-22 there, Fred. I don't know. I mean, from our perspective, I think we had Cam on the up list, and we felt like he threw the ball well and that he was getting guys with good velocity. And I don't know if it seemed a little.
Listen,
I don't know if
you can't say anything bad about him because he did everything he had to do. But I mean, you have to consider who he was going up against and the fact that there was virtually no pass rush.
Yeah, I don't know if it screwed up my evaluation as much as my takeaway from this is I saw some of the things that are being written. It's like Mac Jones takes center stage in the quarterback battle in New England. I said tonight was about Cam and how he went out there and started the game and the way he performed. And I have just I've made I've just been operating under the assumption going back to when they signed him again. I'm like, well, Cam Newton's the starting quarterback for the Patriots beginning the next season. And and my mind did not change when they drafted Mac Jones. So tonight, all I do is I look at that game and the way Cam started and say, okay, now that makes me feel that much better about what I have always felt was going to happen.
I guess so. But, again, who was he going up against? But I think the story is going to be how Mac came in and orchestrated a number of drives, including overcoming 2 holding calls on one of the drives. And look, the run game was dominant. That helps. But he looked good, and I think people are going to look at this game as another step in his progression.
Wow. You and I have totally different takes on this then. I think tonight was more, even though he played less, I think tonight the takeaway is it's more about Cam than it was Mac tonight.
See, I think both of those things can be true. I think Mike and I both thought it was a step forward for Mac, but I don't understand why it matters who Cam played against, but it doesn't matter who Mac played against. Because whoever Cam played against, Mac played against less than that. I
know, but
it's like significantly less than that.
But Cam was playing with our starters, and you could see our O-line was just dominant. I mean, there was nothing they could do.
See, actually, Cam was flushed out of the pocket a couple of times. Mac really didn't have anything to deal with.
Yeah. After holding on to, listen. I mean, just count in the seconds how long Cam had to throw the ball.
Yeah, I think both quarterbacks had all day to throw the ball tonight, and I think both quarterbacks were very effective throwing it.
Wow. Okay.
They both had all day, and they both were very good.
No, Mac had to run around a little bit.
Well,
there was one
he
play
didn't
where
have
he
to.
almost
He
got
did.
The ball knocked out of his hand.
He got the ball knocked out of his hand?
He almost got it knocked out of his hand.
and we're calling that like a positive night. He was playing with all veterans against guys that aren't going to be in the league. He had Ted Karras, James Ferentz, Marcus Martin, Alex Redmond, Yodny Kajust, and Corey Cunningham, all guys that have been in the league against guys that haven't.
So you're saying that the Patriots have more depth than the Eagles?
I'm saying the Eagles didn't play their guys tonight, which is what you said when you talked about Cam, but somehow you don't say it when you talk about Mac.
When Mac was in, it was with our second stringers too.
Yeah, against third and fourth stringers.
Okay, so now, all right. So you're not saying that Cam was playing against their backups?
I am saying Cam was playing against their backups.
Okay, and that doesn't hinder your evaluation a little bit?
I think he tempers his evaluation of Mac because
I think Mac was excellent.
Mac was playing against the backups.
But I think Mac was excellent. I'm not tempering anything. I think Mac was excellent, and I think Cam was excellent. Yeah. Mac was certainly a lot better than he was last week.
I think Cam did everything he had to do. I think he was almost flawless.
I agree.
But I have to look at who he was playing against. That's all.
Yes. I agree, but I look at who everybody's playing against, not just Cam.
If Mac was doing the same thing, I'd say the same thing. Mac wasn't there at the beginning when Cam had all our starters around him.
All right, Fred.
That's all.
Okay. Matt is telling me we actually have to break. Oh, we don't have to? Oh, he said forget the break. Never mind.
Of course.
We're going to keep you on.
Of course, we haven't talked for an hour and a half yet.
Stop it. See, that's not me. That wasn't me. That was not me.
But I also think all the wide receivers did well tonight. I do. I thought that Gunnar did well. I thought. Listen, I think Wilkerson.
I think there were two that didn't, but we'll get to that. We haven't done the bad list
yet. I think Wilkerson did pretty well. Zuber, I think Harry could have caught that ball.
Yeah, Harry and Bourne, I think, didn't make plays that were makeable.
I wouldn't even put him on the bad list. I don't want to skip over those, but just for a moment, N'Keal Harry's injury was an odd one because he seemed to lay out for a ball that he didn't have to lay out for,
right.
And then I couldn't really determine what was hurting when he got up. It's like you want to believe it was just the wind knocked out of him. Then he limped for about 2 steps.
I got to tell you what I think it might be. And I don't know if everybody was talking about the shoulder. And maybe he was favoring the shoulder, and that's why he was sort of walking funny. I think it was a head injury.
He looked like
he smashed his head and he was out.
Yeah.
Like his arms were kind of up front.
Yeah, he kind of had that. What do they call that?
He landed on his left shoulder, but he was favoring his right when he walked off. So that was weird. And the fact that he never came back to the field, I don't think, after halftime.
I think he might be getting evaluated.
So I think
Freddie.
You're right, Paul.
Good flavor from the sideline because I didn't realize that. But look, all I could think about on Harry tonight twice. One he caught, one he didn't, was Mike Dussault. Try not to go out there and fall down. Like the catch that he made, he fell down for no apparent reason in the middle of the field with no one near him. And then the bomb that he doesn't catch, he lays out for no apparent reason.
Right.
That was a perfect throw for Matt.
Not a great showcase night for N'Keal Harry. I want to ask you quickly about the running backs that you saw out there tonight, Fred? Who was your standout performer for the Patriots?
They all did well. They all did well. I mean, every single one of them.
Except for
I mean,
Damien Harris.
it's right now. You got to love that. That's probably the deepest part of our team. I thought every one of them ran well. The only black mark was the fumble by Stevenson. Otherwise, I think they all ran hard. Every single one of them.
Yeah, both Mike and Paul, kept him off a good list because of that fumble. But
I just love J.J. Taylor tonight. He ran with power.
J.J. Taylor was real good, but I can't take away a guy who scores 2 touchdowns.
Two 1-yard
Right.
touchdowns.
Yeah, but
I tossed to JJ.
Yeah, I'm with Paul there. It's whoever has the ball scores those touchdowns.
Right.
It just so happens
Taylor
that
had
he
one
was in
too
the game.
when he got it on the 1-yard line.
Yeah,
I didn't think.
But I thought Sony ran well again.
Yeah.
Sony was
I
excellent.
thought they all ran well.
Well, we gave credit to Sony for his job as a receiver tonight too, and it was nice to see him incorporated a little bit that way. I did not think, nor did Paul think, Damien Harris had a particularly good night, especially in comparison to his Week 1 performance.
Yeah, not really his fault, but he didn't.
I think he was
6 carries, 14 yards.
Hit in the backfield a few times. Like it's just he couldn't get going today for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Why don't we move on to the bad list?
Let's move on to the bad list here. Fred, do you want to go first on the bad list?
Well, Winovich with the stupid penalty early that really killed them. But he came back a little later. He was very active. In first game back, I give him a lot of credit for, bouncing back. I thought, late Thurman had a couple plays. So, you're looking at the, depth, but the deep guys. But I thought the offensive line early was just really good. I mean, Trent Brown, and they were really good.
Bad list.
Yeah, we're on to the bad list now, but that's all right. We can still give credit.
Bad.
Yeah.
It's bad.
What a 35-0 win. It's tough to find bad ones.
Right. Well, you're looking at
I got
individual plays and stuff. I have a feeling.
There's one layup.
There's one glaring one.
There's one glaring one, and it kills me not to put him on the good list. I mean, but
even you have to put him on the bad list tonight.
Did Nordine kick himself off the team tonight?
He might have.
Oh, yeah.
He might have.
That's so obvious. Yeah.
I mean,
I felt so bad for him.
You know what, Fred? I felt bad for him too. Legitimately, a guy with that foot, and we saw it in camp, and time and time again, it's like, man, these kicks are going through the uprights from 45 yards. They're good from 55. They're good from 60. Like,
I know.
Oh, this is fantastic. And then to see him, I don't know if he had the yips, the shanks. We have to be very careful now. We've learned through the Olympics that it could be something else going on. We got to give him credit. He would have been brave to take himself out of the game.
Oh God!
It's because of his inaccuracy that he wasn't drafted. And these weren't long kicks; these are extra points. So
Yeah, I don't know, and I wonder if it didn't seem like they really kept it ratcheted up the 2 days of practice. Like I wish that they had kind of kept him on edge the whole time.
This is what he's done.
Yeah. You're right.
He did it his whole career at Michigan.
You're right.
Everybody forgets he missed an extra point last week because he made a 50-yard field goal. He's like a 70% guy.
Yeah. Well,
and like Paul said, you can get guys off the street to kick extra points.
Yep.
Well, and I get that they're going to get missed more often because they're 33-yarders now, but you can't miss 2 and a 36-yard field goal. And by the way, 2 of the extra points that he made, he just squeaked in. Mm-hmm. The first extra point that he made, he kicked the 36-yard field goal the same way, and the difference was the 3 extra yards.
Yeah.
It leaked out. It was going. That first extra point was going.
Yep, you're right.
And I was looking to see if the snap or the holder.
Me too.
Because now this is the second week, maybe that's catching up to him. But they look like good snaps.
Yeah, the laces were out, and we actually talked about that. And did you guys happen to see Nordine kicked off at least once?
Oh, I didn't.
After one of the touchdowns.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for him on a night where we're really stretching to come up with guys
in
a
bad way.
list.
Does that turn out to be a blessing in disguise in a weird way? Like
no, because he's the one standout bad from the game.
No, but you see, I don't think there was any chance unless Nick Folk is hurt and physically can't kick in the opener. I don't think there's any way Nordine's going to be the kicker in week 1. So I think they probably want to put him on the practice squad. He missed 3 kicks tonight while everybody was watching. Maybe that allows you to get him on the practice squad. No one pokes around. I know you can protect guys now, but maybe you don't have to worry about that.
And no one was poking around with him to begin with. What has he really done?
And then you watch him, and now that's twice on national TV. He's missed 4 kicks in 2 weeks.
Deuce, who's your first on the bad list?
We talked about Damien Harris, right, a little bit. Should I put him again, or should we revisit that?
No, I don't think we
just
need
move
to.
on. Okay, I'm going to go with Justin Herron. A couple penalties for him. I thought overall it was a strong night for the offensive line mostly, but we talked about him in the pregame being a guy that could play kind of a key role as the swing backup, maybe the first tackle in. Just a little sloppy play from him tonight.
A lot of tight end work for him tonight, and a couple penalties. I agree. We're looking. Obviously Fred's right. When you dominate a game that way, you're looking at individual things. And the only negative thing that I really have about Mac Jones in the 2 games that he played was situational. That was not good situational football at the end of the half.
Yeah, Josh was on him for that spike.
Yeah, well, not only the spike, but you can't dump it down over the middle short. And I know that's what he does. But you can't do it in that situation with no timeouts.
Right.
Now you're forced with the clock running to get up and run a play on 3rd and 2, where if you get the first down, you're losing another 10 seconds or so, and now you have to spike it to see what you do. You spike it on 3rd down. Now it's 4th down. Now immediately, and I think in a real game they probably would have gone for it. With I think there was only 12 seconds left, but I think Bill probably wanted to teach him a lesson there. Say, see, now we have to punt because you dumped it down over the middle and then you spiked it. Now it's 4th down. They can get the ball here and throw one pass and kick a field goal. Yeah. So now we have to punt. You see what you did?
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But a little teaching moment. Not a huge deal, but he'll learn.
I know the play was sloppy on both sides of the ball, but if I'm putting someone on the bad list, it's the officials in a game like this. You got to keep the clock moving, guys. I don't need a bunch of holding calls.
You're going into the zone territory. These guys want their names on TV.
Hockey League Junior. I'm like, let's go.
Big shock. We had Hockey League tonight.
Yeah, okay. It was a hold, but it's also the preseason game number 2 on a Thursday night. How about you just keep it in your pocket?
All right, guys, I got to jump. I'll let you go so you can start back
so soon?
Mac, while I'm not there.
Oh, now we can break. Thank God.
Fred, thanks for calling in. We appreciate it.
Freddie, safe travels, bro.
All right, there he goes. Fred Kirsch joining us on the phone there.
Any more downs?
We do, but now Matt does want us to
I can ramble them real
I got
quick.
one. Go Bourne, 2-pointer.
I had Bourne and Harry. I think those are 2 balls that have to be caught.
Okay. And any other injuries to speak of beyond Harry?
I don't know what happened to Uche. It never
Uche.
came out, though.
That's right.
For the first half. I didn't see him get dinged or anything like that.
Okay.
So.
I did see on the Twitter machine someone was saying that he was taken to the locker room early in the game. I didn't notice anything that happened to him. I did notice he was not getting any push at all in the plays that I was watching him specifically for our thing.
Yeah.
The freaky plays. Didn't see any. Didn't see it.
You didn't catch any tonight?
Didn't see it.
Not tonight, I guess.
Well, nice bow on the good, the bad, and the injured. We'll continue with your calls. We got John and Ray. They'll be up first when we return very, very quickly on the Patriots Postgame Show. 855-PATS-500 to join us.
When did Bud Light Seltzer start making lemonade?
Probably when 2020 handed us all those lemons.
New Bud Light Seltzer Lemonade, packed with lemonade flavor after a lemon of a year.
Opponents? I've gone up against thousands.
And there's an opponent we're all up against, COVID-19.
But there's a way to beat it. Get vaccinated.
So when it's your turn, roll up your sleeves.
And let's get to the finish line together.
Join the conversation by calling the Ace Ticket hotline at 855-PATS-500 or email the show at webradio@patriots.com.
He eats more smoked meat than I fear for his family, the amount of smoked meat that guy eats.
Who's this? So much meat.
Live from our studios inside Gillette Stadium, here's Hardy.
I don't remember any of these clips. When Morrell plays them back and adds them in. It's like the first time I'm ever hearing it.
I feel all refreshed. I went out and I had a quick snack. I was able to use the little boys' room.
Did you take a shower?
And I got a drink all in that break.
Oh, good for you.
I was able to jam that all in the 45 seconds that we were off.
You look refreshed.
Yeah, none of us had time to move. All right, let's go to the phones here. We'll go to John in L.A. First up, after Fred Kirsch, that is.
Johnny.
On the Patriots Postgame Show. What's up, John?
Hey, I thoroughly enjoyed tonight's Fred Kirsch honorary Super Bowl rematch. It was great.
Oh, yeah, good stuff.
So, John, you sent me a DM before the start of the game. Do you want to share what your prediction was?
I do. I thought it was going to be a beatdown by the Eagles, but it was a reverse jinx, obviously.
Perfect. Well played.
Obviously.
I get that it was the Patriots 1s against the Eagles 2s and 3s, but it was nice to watch this considering the Eagles media breathless coverage about how much better they were in the joint practices.
Wasn't just the Eagles media.
No. Well, it was more, but the Eagles media was even more over the top about it, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, they did seem very excited about it.
They were. One guy said, whatever you had for the Patriots win total heading into this, cut it in half. Did you hear that comment?
Yep, I did. It seems a little bit excessive.
I think the N'Keal Harry thing it's such a bummer. He just run through the ball and under it. It's a huge play, and everyone's talking about something different. Now he's hurt. That was worse than Wilkerson's drop from last week.
Oh, that was a much easier play than Wilkerson's.
Yeah, Wilkerson had
there was a guy on Wilkerson. To Harry's credit, he got open. I always say he doesn't get open. He did on that play.
He got open, and the ball was perfect.
Yeah,
it was a perfect throw.
Yeah, I thought it was a really good throw.
It was a really good throw.
I can't wait. I can't wait to see Mac Jones throwing those up to Aguilar if Aguilar does what he did last week.
There have been a couple of those in practices already.
I was just going to say, Aguilar's dropped more than one of those in practice. He does not track them over his shoulder very well.
I have a quick question about Mills. Was he
Mills?
moved into the middle more this week in the joint practices also?
Yep.
It seems like he's more natural in there, and he did a pretty nice job today.
Yeah. As soon as Jonathan Jones went out, they kind of rotated into having him slide inside and Juwan on the outside, who we didn't really talk about. I didn't notice him a ton. I heard him talking about Juwan in the broadcast.
You guys were talking about me?
No. You were so worried. No, I don't. He didn't really catch my eye tonight. I don't know
because they showed him a couple of times on the replays on plays that didn't really go to where he was covering. That he was covering Devontae Smith. That's one of those guys I wouldn't think he'd be able to cover. Now,
right.
In fairness to Devontae Smith, he looked like a guy who hasn't played in several weeks, and he hasn't. He's been out. He looked like a rookie who hasn't practiced. But I was really impressed with the fact that Juwan Williams was as tightly cut. There was one back shoulder throw that Flacco made a beautiful back shoulder throw, and Smith did nothing to come back and get it. Williams was on him. And I thought he was running well down the sideline with him.
All right, John. Appreciate the call. Thank you. Going to move on to Ray in Atlanta on the Patriots Postgame Show. What's up, Ray?
Hey, Ray.
How y'all doing, guys?
Good.
Yeah, that was a great game tonight. Everybody overall played well. There's still work to be done, of course. I think, from my perspective, that the offense was good. The quarterbacks played well. But my highlights was the running backs and the defense as a whole. They played great. They played great, and they just need to keep it up, keep it going with the strategies and everything. And I just got one statement to make, whether it's in truth or confidence, we'll be ready by week 4.
Okay, well, I hope you're right there, Ray. I don't look at anything from tonight necessarily with anything beyond week 1 expectations. And my expectation has always been that Cam would start, and now I expect them to be a little better in that regard, or I feel at least a little more comfortable with him being in that position. But trying to play it out beyond that, and when I say beyond that, I mean beyond just feeling a little more comfortable, I think it'd be foolish, because you got to remember, what they were playing against tonight and how much different it's going to look when Miami rolls, there's starters out there in week 1, and they're actually trying to win the game. Yeah, it's going to be a much different game during the break, no matter who they play.
During the break, I think, Matt came in and told us that Mortensen was reporting that Jalen Hurts actually had a stomach infection and was in the hospital. Yeah. So I don't know if that's the reason he didn't play. Because I look at the overall approach that Philadelphia had, and Freddie, when he came on, mentioned this, and I thought it was a little bit different for a first-year head coach to say, we got 2 good days of practice in, we don't need to play the game. Because your quarterback, I can't imagine that the quarterback came down with an illness shortly before the game, so you decided he couldn't play, and that meant Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, Darius Slay, you name them, they didn't play. All of those guys didn't play because Jalen Hurts got sick 15 minutes before the game.
Yeah.
Does that make a lot of sense to anybody?
I don't know when it happened before the game and how long he knew, but if he had enough lead time, it might be enough to say, you know what, forget everything we were going to do tonight with Hurts in there. Let's just not go out there and get anybody hurt because we're not. We did see what we got a chance to do for a couple of days.
Yeah. Certainly plausible.
Let's just sit down a bunch of guys who we thought were going to play with Jalen tonight, at least for the first quarter, and now we're not going to do that.
I'm seeing a picture here from Josh Tolentino, retweeted by Alex Barth of 98.5 The Sports Hub, of N'Keal Harry in a sling, an arm sling. His left arm is in a sling.
It is a shoulder problem.
So it would be a shoulder problem, not a concussion. So I don't know.
I hope he's all right. I tell you, it was so strange watching the slow-mo replay of that. You know, Paul, you said it looked like he was, or you or Fred both said that he looked like he was concussed. And Mike, you said, he kind of had that weird arm.
Well, he was laying prone with one arm up, like sometimes happens when receivers get laid out.
Right.
And I was wondering before I saw the replay.
Posting, I think, might be what it's called. It's like when you get concussed.
Okay.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard that term.
I forget. It might not.
But
in the animal kingdom,
he might have slammed his head. Oh, God.
What? No, I thought it was odd because when you look at it, again, slow motion will, play tricks on your eyes and on your mind all the time. But when you watch it in slow motion, when he's in the air, laying out for the ball that he, again, didn't need to lay out for, it didn't look like, he almost kind of goes limp before he hits the ground. And he hits the ground kind of oddly in a way that says to me, it's like maybe something happened to him like at the end of the run. And he just kind of zoned out for a second. But he hits the ground weird. He kind of
what does it do for
himself very well?
What does it do for his trade value?
Well, that's what what I was alluding to with Fred. He didn't do anything to raise his stock in any way with that performance.
And I hate to talk about an injury guy, but unfortunately, this is just the next chapter of how it's been going.
But I'll give you what'll be the next chapter for this. If you want to stay consistent to what he's been for the previous 2 years, he'll be at practice on Monday. Like, how many times has he looked half dead? How many times have we said to each other since he's been a Patriot, well, we might not see him for another week or so, and he's out there the next day.
Right. Well,
and there's something always wrong, and everybody's like, oh, well, he's got that, that shoulder thing or that hamstring, whatever it is.
If he didn't have that.
I don't know. I'm sort of done.
Yeah.
I'm done.
It sounds like you're done.
In fairness, I was done. Pretty much
minutes.
The third practice I saw him.
All right. Jonathan in New York on the Patriots postgame show. What's up, Jonathan?
Yo, what's good, guys?
Yo.
How you doing tonight?
Good.
All right, so I'll keep it real with you, okay? I feel really good about this nice preseason game. Honestly, the best thing I saw personally outside of Matt has got to be this run game. I know you guys are going to say, they were going against second stringers on D, but if you have your first stringers on the O-line and you got your number one guys on the run game, you should absolutely dominate anybody who's not a first stringer on any team, right? Let's think about that for a second. That O-line looked like they were absolutely top 3 in the league if you were thinking about it.
Yeah, see, my only rebuttal of that was I don't think they looked like that in the first quarter. Damien Harris had 6 carries for 14 yards. Yeah. And then when the other guys came in, they started racking up rushing yards.
Yeah.
J.J. Taylor and Ramondre Stevenson racked up the rushing yards.
Really, until Sony kind of got a couple runs going, I was thinking run game not looking great right here. They weren't really able to do much, which was surprising to me, especially with Harris, because he always seems to squirt through and find a little bit of space. It was very much not what I was expecting from him.
Yeah, but Jonathan, to your point, and thanks for the call, when you're up against second, third, fourth string guys who may not be playing, your only option is it puts you in an almost unwinnable situation is to dominate them and shut them out. The Patriots dominated them and shut them out. And if you want to nitpick stuff, that's exactly what you're doing. You can only play who you're playing against, and they went up against, a really
only 4 of their 5 backs were great.
But I agree with you. You can only go up against who's on the other side, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can only, and you dominate. But it also needs to be part of the narrative.
Yeah.
And
yes.
I feel like it is part of the narrative.
Right. And Jonathan did bring it up. Don't leave it as like that's a great, if anyone's saying that was a great game, wow, they crushed and they rolled. It's like, hold on a second.
Yeah, but I think if you
that's
look at
not
it,
the story of the game.
But if you really think about it like as a practice, think about it like a practice. I mean, it's a preseason game. It's not a practice, but it's basically a practice. I think you got a lot of really good stuff, especially when you take all 3 of the days combined. I think they got a lot of needed work. I didn't love what they did in joint practices. I didn't love that. And I think that this was a nice little kind of counterbalance to that.
Okay.
But I'm still not feeling like we got it all going now. Like, it was a positive, but
some
I
of the questions I had
lot
heading in, I still have because I didn't get, they didn't get a chance to answer any of them. I wasn't expecting it either because it's a preseason game and whatnot. But I think Mike is right. I think they played very well tonight.
Any questions you had about the secondary didn't get answered tonight.
Right.
Zero.
Right.
0%.
It's like, they come out, like I said, they got like 25, 30 yards on that first drive, and they snap the ball over the guy's head for a loss of 30.
And then that's it.
Right. They go from midfield to the 9.
Yeah. And I should say, thanks to Barry Allen, he tweeted me, fencing. Fencing's what they call it. When you get a concussion and then you kind of like post your fencing position.
I never heard
it's like
that
your
before.
arms kind of like.
Well, I thought
weird.
I saw a sign of that.
Yeah.
I thought one arm was up, one arm was down, and it wasn't moving. Like, it's one thing if, like, you hurt your shoulder and you're like, you're in discomfort and you have, like, an arm up, like you're trying to move, but he wasn't really moving. He was kind of prone.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if there was something head-related as well as whatever's wrong with the shoulder.
Any injury a guy takes on the football field, I don't have any, real-world connection to. So however you want to react, that it's – What am I going to say? Well, that's not the way I would react. Now, if he's got his arm in a sling, shoulder, whatever he was doing could be related to the shoulder. For all I know, I'll take him and his shoulder at their words.
Right.
Melvin in Tennessee, what's up, buddy?
Hey, Mel.
What's up, y'all?
What's up?
Surprised I'm up. But
but yeah, why are
with
you?
this game, I have no idea. That put me to sleep, bro. But I like you all said, can't really gather too much from this game. But what I do kind of want to see based off last game is still I wasn't too happy with them stopping the run. Getting a little tired of this. It's been 3 years, and it's just initially that first couple of drives. No, it was good for Judon make a start on 3rd and 1, but I mean they just gashed them to play before that. So I just want to see them. I don't know who's going to be the fix to that. I've seen glimpses of it being better, but I just have some little concerns when it comes with the Patriots and stopping the run.
All right. Well, I mean, Philadelphia did rush for 82 whole yards tonight. So, again, and I know
most of those were garbage time, too.
Yeah, and
they had like 2 long runs in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I still understand what you're saying, Melvin. It's like if the rest of the game was, quote unquote perfect, if you're looking at it from that perspective, yeah, it popped on a couple of runs early on, but not enough to give me any real concern.
Yeah.
I mean,
6
yarders.
And I think the 3rd and 1 stop overshadows the runs that they had early in the game. I think that's, we're playing run here. We're ready for you to run. We're going to stop you.
Right.
I like that.
Yeah, I didn't have a problem with that aspect of the game. Sean in Texas is up next. Hi, Sean. You're on the Patriots Postgame Show. What's going on?
What's going on, guys? I have a question about the group of running backs that we have. They seem to be all fairly solid and have a pretty good role for each of them. When the cut day comes, who can you put on the bubble for these guys? I mean, is there even anybody that you would want to let go? Or
not really.
I would want to keep them all.
Yeah.
I would try to find a way to keep them all, and if I had to bubble one, it would be Taylor because of his size, I think. But
he runs hard. I mean, he's done nothing but produce.
I like him a lot. I think he can be like Dion Lewis.
Yeah.
And when
return
you
punts a little bit, he's got some versatility.
And when you see Sony Michel catching the ball, and I remember talking about this much earlier in the preseason, I remember saying, like, wouldn't it be great if he could transition into something that had even just the glimmer of hope of approaching a James White type of a role? I'm not comparing him to James White.
But I think he could be a more versatile James White. Like, he won't be James White as a receiver, but he could be a better ball carrier
runner
than James White.
Yes, exactly. So
It's a little bowling ball.
I don't want to say goodbye to Michelle. I don't want to say goodbye
Got one
to
in
Stevenson.
take development.
Oh.
I don't.
So Sean,
real quick, this won't take long.
Fill it out.
Could it be possible with all the because he has returned a lot of punts all summer? Thought he looked really comfortable doing it tonight. Do you steal a roster spot there? Like Gunnar, they clearly don't love as a receiver.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, Gunner's the punt returner. Gunner's the punt returner, and he was really good. Like, he was all pro last year, but maybe they maybe this guy's better.
Maybe.
And maybe he's a better running back than that guy is a wide receiver, and he can return punts just as well.
That's why you're the
Well,
man.
what if they kept somebody like James White and let a receiver go?
Well, that's
line him up more as a receiver.
Well, I'm bringing that up as a possibility. Maybe you let Gunnar Olszewski go.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that will happen. I think Gunnar is going to be the punt returner. I think they really like him in that role. And he certainly hasn't done anything this summer to lose the job. I think he looks really good in that role.
Yeah, and he's got some versatility that they love and they respect and can utilize that. So, all right, Sean, thanks for the call. We appreciate it. 855-PATS-500 if you would like to join us on the Patriots postgame show, like Patrick in Nashville is doing right now. Hi, Patrick.
Hello, Hardy. What's going on?
Well, we're just
Hey,
talking
how
about
you
this
doing?
blowout win for the Patriots,
Oh, my gosh. First time, long time.
Nice.
Been listening to PU for a couple of years now, and all I could think of every time I saw Jacoby Myers catch a pass is how if MLB was still with us, she would just be all over it. Jacoby's her guy. And I miss MLB, but I'm loving these post-game and pre-game shows with you guys. One quick thing. I think, Paul, you hit the nail on the head with, I think when I first saw the Harry catch where he went down hard and stayed down, I thought it was a concussion too. And then when they said it was a shoulder, it didn't seem like a shoulder. But now that you said he was in a sling, I would not be surprised if it was a combination of the two. But in all honesty, what a perfect metaphor for what N'Keal Harry has been to the Patriots. He's about to do something great using his body and then just smashes down and breaks himself.
Yeah, it was unfortunate. No question.
Patrick, thanks for being a first-timer here. Don't be a stranger. It was a good point that he brought up. You think it might be head. Oh, he's got a sling. Why can't it be both? Maybe he's got
a lot of that going
his
on
bell
there.
his bell
It could be
rung in
both.
addition to the shoulder.
I think there's a chance.
Yeah,
both could be true.
35-0, the win for the Patriots tonight over the Eagles. They moved to 2-0 on the season. Cam Newton starts the game, goes 8 for 9, throws for 103 yards, has a touchdown pass. Paul, did you see him maybe in his best performance going back to what time? Because I would say this is his best performance that I've seen from him. So, short as it was,
Seattle.
Going back to,
but even then, that Seattle game was like late in the he caught fire like late in the third quarter into the fourth. He looked really comfortable. And I haven't seen him look comfortable very often.
Yeah.
Now,
Step up,
Fred's
deliver.
absolutely right. We said it at the top of the show where he wasn't listening when we talked about it. Yes, you have to take into consideration who we played against and who we played with. Absolutely. But we're judging him on his performance tonight. That's all.
Yeah. And considering how we saw him play last year against like the Jets and other teams that are maybe not as bad as that Eagles team that was out there tonight, but pretty bad.
He was pretty good in the last Jets game.
I saw him look.
When everybody got excited, remember?
That's a good one.
He looked more comfortable tonight than I saw him early on in camp.
Oh, yeah.
In
Oh, yeah.
no pads.
Well,
That's
that's
when
why
he was not going to get hit. That he looked more comfortable and
there were
and
days they
looser
were
tonight.
playing at like the passes were clearly supposed to get completed. They had shells on or whatever, and they're running, and he's stepping in, throwing the ball, and I thought he looked better throwing it tonight.
Yes,
which it was in a quasi-competitive environment than he did in those practices that he's supposed to complete the pass.
100%.
Yeah, and that's and I still though that's why I want to see more of it, because we have seen spurts of this in training camp where he looks comfortable and hey, he looks a little better. Hey, that was a great drive that they just had. I just need to see a couple quarters of it, because last year we probably, maybe not quite like this, but we saw some of these kind of glimmers of hope here and there throughout the season. I want to see him do it for a full game.
Yeah, I know you wanted more, but there was nothing more you could get tonight.
No, it didn't matter tonight.
There was nothing more you could get tonight.
If they'd have been against the ones and he had done that, then I'd really be excited.
I even was done with Mac a drive before they took him out, because I just didn't think there was anything else you could learn.
Right. Love to see the phones loaded up here on a Thursday night preseason game. This is fantastic. You guys are awesome. Colin in San Francisco up next. What do you got, Colin?
Yeah, how's it going, guys? Just what I want to talk about. Thing that bothers me from this game, you just know, it was almost like Bill was trying to avoid Mac Jones throwing a touchdown at the play calls. I just think the media is going to be all over Mac. I'm excited to listen to Colin Cowherd tomorrow morning and hear his awful take on how Mac is the worst quarterback in the draft.
Wait,
what's your take on that?
Why is that an awful take?
I mean, just the fact that he has the lowest ceiling. I mean, you look at what you see, out of Trey Lance. Was he that great? He had one, pretty good play in his game, but
no,
otherwise,
but we're not judging it off of a
very
preseason
inconsistent.
game. We're judging off of what we think they're going to be, and I don't think there's anything wrong with someone who thinks that Mac Jones is the 5th out of those 5 first-round picks in terms of a ceiling.
Yeah, and I guess what I would say is some of the plays and some of the things we've seen out of the guys above him have been really good.
Yeah,
I mean,
but I'm not even.
Plays that Trey
but
Lance
I'm not
has
even
made
talking
already.
about that, because I don't care what they do in these glorified scrimmages. I'll watch them play for a couple of years and then decide who I thought was better. But I mean, everybody's got their opinions. I don't think that's a weird opinion to say Mac Jones doesn't have the ceiling of the other 4 guys that got drafted ahead of him. There's a reason those 4 guys got drafted ahead of him.
Yeah, but at the same time, he had one of the best seasons, in recent history of any college quarterback. And, a couple months ago, we were talking about this guy being drafted at 3, and it wasn't a crazy thought. So,
Well, yeah, but it was wrong. It wasn't a crazy thought because people were saying it, but it didn't happen. It was wrong.
But Colin, I understand what you're saying.
They didn't go out of their way not to get Mac a touchdown pass. Devin Asiasi dropped one.
Yeah, people are
like
gonna,
that would have been a touchdown pass.
People are going to go out of their way too to say that Mac did took steps back tonight or something, which is ridiculous. I mean, he played well.
No one's going to say he took a step back tonight.
And I mean, and how different would it
He was
be
excellent.
if Wilkerson had caught it and Harry had caught these last 2? I mean, that's all. You wouldn't see the end of the highlights.
But see, what I thought
They're
tonight,
close.
the reason, and I made this comment to Fred, I think Mac Jones was better tonight than last week, because I think the degree of difficulty in the throws was far higher tonight. Now, guys were open, but he still had to get it down the field. He threw the ball like that whole Mike Reese thing from last week from the ESPN stats. Both quarterbacks threw the ball down the field tonight. They weren't just screens. There were some checkdowns and whatnot.
Right.
But I'm sorry, like they were much more difficult throws for the most part tonight for both guys than they were last week.
And I think, Paul, that's what's encouraging to me about Mac is a lot of the stuff that we had heard about him and why he would fit here would be good. But the question was downfield. Was he going to be able to get the ball downfield? No, I still wouldn't necessarily say he's got
tell
a
me the
plus
truth. On the first throw, you were thinking to yourself, maybe they're right. When a linebacker, it was the same guy who picked him off in practice too.
And that's like plus arm, probably not. But I think my initial impression was I think he's got enough. And I at least like the fact he's going for it. It's not like he's afraid to throw it downfield. It's not that he's shying away from something that might be a perceived weakness. I think he'll only get better at that. It seems like a matter of time.
And just so
till he
people
connects
don't
one.
misunderstand me, when I say throwing the ball downfield, I don't mean the ball to Harry. Every NFL quarterback can make that throw. When you're throwing it 50 yards and you're throwing it on a loop, Some are better than others at it, don't get me wrong.
Right.
I'm talking about the throws down the middle, 15 yards, when you got to get it through that tight window where the linebacker's going to dive and knock it down. Do you have the juice to get the ball there? I'm not talking about throwing it 50 yards. Everybody can do that.
Let's step aside here quickly. Matt Morrell wants us to break briefly, but then.
This is going to be the time that we break, and it's going to be brief?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Henry, Jeff, Vinny, we'll get to all you guys, and Bill Belichick. We'll hear from the head coach coming up here next on the Patriots Postgame Show.
When did Bud Light Seltzer start making lemonade?
Probably when 2020 handed us all those lemons.
New Bud Light Seltzer Lemonade, packed with lemonade flavor after a lemon of a year.
Opponents? I've gone up against thousands.
And there's an opponent we're all up against, COVID-19.
But there's a way to beat it. Get vaccinated.
So when it's your turn, roll up your sleeves.
And let's get to the finish line together.
Join the conversation by calling the Ace Ticket hotline at 855-PATS-500 or email the show at webradio@patriots.com.
Why are you giving him so much credit?
I'm not giving them a lot of credit. They were both on my good list. Now I'm getting yelled at for putting guys on the good list.
Live from our studios inside Gillette Stadium, here's Hardy.
35-0, Patriots beat the Eagles in Philadelphia tonight, preseason game number 2. Back to your phone calls before we check in with the head coach, Bill Belichick, in his post-game press conference. First, we go to Henry in Dover, Mass. Henry, you're on the Patriots
I don't know about
post-game
you, Henry.
show. Henry.
Guys, hey.
Hey.
What were your thoughts on Chase Winovich tonight? On how he played? Did he do enough to be a starter on the team? Will J.J. Taylor, is he going to be the next running back on the team? Will he make this team? And overall, how do you feel about the defense and its progression throughout the preseason? Thanks, guys.
Chase Winovich is the future of the New England Patriots.
Oh, thank you, Henry. Chase, starter. I don't think he's done enough to be a starter yet, but I think I think he's got a role.
I think he has.
And I think, and especially if Uche's hurt. But I
they're
think
not
they
going
need
to cut him.
A live wire.
They're not cutting him. He's a third-year guy
Paul,
on a rookie
check
deal.
your email. Check the.
Oh, I saw it. That's why I'm reiterating it. They're not cutting a guy in his third year who has an ability.
Right.
I think he has an ability to rush the passer.
And I think they need that, and that's why I think he's going to stick.
Same for J.J. Taylor.
I think he's going to get traded still, but they ain't cutting him.
Okay.
Because he doesn't cost nothing. Don't cost nothing.
Yeah. And and as for the big picture defense, I'm a little bit more intrigued by some of what, but not entirely. I still feel like I have a lot of questions about how this is all going to come together. With Uche getting hurt, that adds another level of complication to it.
Yeah.
I think they need Gilmore back, and
the good
once
thing
that
is
happens,
they
you can start to
probably, and I say probably because you never know, but they probably have a chance to get off to a pretty good start with Miami and the Jets, two teams, young quarterbacks. They don't figure to be lighting it up. Those two teams.
We go to Jeff in Maine here on the Patriots post-game show.
Very active post-game show.
I love it. I love it. Everybody calling in late on a Thursday night. This is great. Jeff, what do you got for us, buddy?
Hey, guys, I look at this game, and there's two thoughts that blow my mind. Well, first, I just got to say, Paul, I always love your take. I just love to hear you. So,
thank you.
But beyond that,
that's nice.
Cam, I expected him to be good. He was playing against number 2s, number 3s. All of his experience, I would have been shocked if he wasn't good. I would have been like, cut the dude if he wasn't. Mac wasn't only just playing against number 2s and number 3s. It was almost like he had his hand behind his back half the game because of holding penalties and stuff, and he still came out on top and drove the team down 70-plus yards and got scores. And I don't know how you can look at both of those players and not feel that Mac was giving you more today in this game than Cam did. That's my point. I can't wrap my brain around that. That's all.
That's okay, Jeff. I don't think Paul, do you want to go first?
I'm done.
Okay. People really like Mac Jones. What are you going to do about it?
People really don't like Cam Newton.
They really don't.
There's nothing you can do about that either.
All I saw was Cam going out there against, albeit for a shorter amount of time, against heavier competition, and all he did was go 8 for 9 and throw a touchdown pass and look like a guy who was
if you
more
could
than
score
capable.
more than once on a singular drive, then I guess he could have done better.
Yeah. I mean, he
scored on all his drives.
Was there anything about Cam Newton tonight that looked like there's no way he can be the Week 1 starter? Okay. Now you could say the same thing.
Can I just state this, so I have my position is stated clearly, and I'll let you guys handle whatever you guys want to do. I want Mac Jones to start Week 1. I've seen Cam Newton. I don't think that his ceiling is worth starting him. I want Mac Jones to start. I'm only judging on what I've seen from Cam Newton in the 2 preseason games, and in particular this one tonight.
But
you can only score once per drive. That's what he did.
But this one tonight, this is the one where I say, I don't know how you watch that game and come away saying, Mac Jones has to be the starter. Not based on tonight. Not on what I saw tonight.
Does anybody? I lied. I said I wasn't going to say anything else.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I lied. I'm done. I'm done. No. Does anybody not think they might see a little bit more of a sophisticated defense, like in a game?
There's a chance. There is a chance.
I don't know.
Vinny in Las Vegas. Hello, Vinny.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Hey, Vinny.
Good. I am going to tell you, I'm a little disappointed with the game today. I don't think I learned anything.
Fair.
I think
okay.
It was very.
I'll allow.
If I was, whatever I knew, I think I still feel the same. I don't think there was anything.
I agree. You didn't learn a whole lot
Eagles
tonight.
could have put in maybe somebody else in there. Just give us a chance to,
or at least try.
See a little bit more.
Yeah.
Did they blitz? Did they do anything?
No, not
Just
really.
got pushed back.
Did they play man?
Yeah.
Cover 2.
Did they man anyone up? Did they blitz?
No,
Did they?
and it's true.
Did they disguise anything that they were doing?
Like the Patriots were running stunts once in a while, and I don't think anything out of the ordinary.
Yeah.
But at least they were trying some different things to try to apply some pressure on the Eagles were just like, come and get it.
Okay, so you didn't learn anything, but were you encouraged by anything, Vinny?
I think that Cam is going to be the starter. I think that, the kind of relationship that Bill has with him and the fact that he hasn't really done anything terrible. There is a little bit of progress that he's shown, with the system and the, all that stuff. I think he's going to be the starter. I truly hope that he doesn't finish the year because I think that we need to get Mac in there and, he's going to be the future. And definitely he's shown enough to tell us that. I do have a question for you guys. I am concerned about the secondary. I really am. And so I have a question about Gilmore. When is the latest, and I know we're already getting there, it's already late for him to come back, but what will be the latest that you will feel comfortable with him coming back? Because, he needs to get in there and get in shape. It doesn't look to me like he can miss everything and then a week before say I'm playing. So what will be the latest you guys would be comfortable with him coming back and feeling like he's going to be a contributor in those first 2 weeks?
Okay, good question, Vinny. Thanks for the call.
It's great. It's a great question. I think that's maybe the biggest question facing the Patriots right now. And in a perfect world, you'd love to have him next week. You'd love to have him get some preseason, joint practices, a game. In practicality, I think he could come back week 1 and Wednesday practice start. And I don't know if that's ideal. I don't know if that sets him up to get hurt. Is he even healthy enough to do it? I'm not sure.
I think you've got that long layoff between the last preseason game and week 1. I think in the days after that third preseason game,
once it closes down, will we even know if he started practicing? The last practice we'll get access to is next Thursday, joint practice with the Giants. They play Sunday. If he started coming to practice Tuesday, Wednesday that week, will we even know really that he was?
Yeah, I think they would have.
I guess with warm-ups and stuff,
he'd have to get activated off PUP to do that.
Yeah.
That's an official transaction on the wire, so you'd know, and plus you'd probably see him, like you would when you're out there in that window that you'd be able to watch. And I do think that as long as it was, I don't know, the Tuesday before the opener would be a little late for him to just jump in and start, but probably the 2 weeks wouldn't be ideal, but he could do it. The other thing is, don't discount if he doesn't get what he wants. If he ends up opening the season on PUP, and then he ends up coming back, say after week 6, and then he plays the rest of the year. Well, that's what he makes. So now, like him playing for peanuts, according to him, not my words. I'm going to play. If I'm going to get half my salary, I'll play half the season. He'll end up playing whatever. If he'll have to miss at least the first 6 games, so he'll end up playing 11 games.
Let's grab 2 more here before we hit the head coach in his post-game press conference. Jay in Miami is up next. Hi, Jay.
Hey, Jay.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Hey, Jay.
Hey, I just want to say, something? I mean, it's a preseason game, and you can only take so much out of it. But I definitely was happier with this performance. And the other thing is Matt Judon is a beast, man.
Yep.
Oh, he is indeed. I got nothing bad to say about Judon so far.
I'm just excited to watch him play this year.
No, I mean it speaks to the defense, and for my keys, I just wanted to let me see the D tonight. So, fortunately for them, they got to.
I don't know why you have to work blue.
Okay, I
It's
don't
him
know why.
Last week, it's you this week.
I don't know why everyone took that to mean defense. I don't know why you guys haven't complied. No,
That's what she said.
Thank you. But, all right, so they went up against a Philadelphia offense that really wasn't trying. But still, what do you do in that situation? Make sure you shut them out. And that's what they did. So
Exactly.
Yeah, I was happy to see it.
Great
All right.
job.
All right.
Exactly. You beat up on a bad team is what they did, and that's what they're supposed to do. That's what the Patriots we're all used to seeing.
That doesn't exactly tell the story.
But I will
of the game.
say that there were certain things. I was actually more impressed with Cam. Cam, I think, played pretty okay. I think ultimately Mac Jones is the future, and you could see like he does need a little bit more work. You know what I mean? He needs more time in there, but at the same time, I feel less scared about having Cam maybe start at the beginning of the season to give him more time to get to that point. But I mean, I thought they looked pretty good, and they look like bully ball, man. They look like they can run on anybody.
All right.
Here's what I'll say. They look like a better team, and I think Bill said this after the game. They looked like a better team than they were before they got here this week, before they got to Philadelphia this week.
Right,
Yep.
right. One more call before we get to the head coach. It's David in New York on the Patriots postgame show. Hi, David.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Good.
So I just kind of wanted to list some takeaways from this game and kind of I got a question at the end. So first thing I had was Judon's awesome. I liked him. I kind of knew who he was before he signed him, but I kind of had to look into him more. And he's really shown me what could get me excited about seeing him play. Another thing is you got to feel bad for Mac with his deep throws. He just can't have receivers that can catch him right now.
Oh, my God.
Hopefully.
If he had connected on either one of those last week or this week, he would be one of those guys making the rounds in terms of, these ravishing rookies and, oh, my God, the baby-faced quarterbacks, and look what they're doing. He can't make one of those reels because he doesn't have the guys to haul him in.
He's making the reels. Yeah. He's making the reels.
He's making the reels on like Patriots, like dark web stuff.
I'm big into that.
Yeah,
dark web.
That's where they found me.
Deuce is already writing songs.
Yeah, 8chan. They've got a couple of threads devoted to. But I'm talking like mainstream ESPN stuff. Where Trey Lance is getting all the love right now.
Not Trey Lance, but the other guys.
Is Mac Jones getting that same level? No, because they haven't hauled in those throws.
You don't watch a lot of ESPN, do you?
I haven't watched it this week. Has he been getting a lot of love?
Oh, yeah.
Mac Jones?
Oh, yes.
I don't watch it either, really.
Yeah, I don't know. He's so mainstream, Perillo. Yeah. Sneaky mainstream.
Sneaky. I just think sneaky.
Yeah,
period.
Yeah.
Sneaky mainstream.
I tell you who else is a sneaky guy.
Sneaking around.
That Bill Belichick. Man, he plays his cards close to the vest. Is he going to open up tonight? We're about to find out. Here he is in his post-game press conference after the 35-0 win against the Eagles in Philadelphia. Well, I am devastated, and we are not going to hear the commentary from
If
Bill
only
Belichick,
it were that
at least
easy
at the
to
moment.
get through a Bill Belichick press conference.
Okay, they're gonna get things fixed. We have a bunch of emails to get through while we're waiting for them to kind of troubleshoot that. This is from Bill and Bozeman. He said that game was fun to watch. What?
Woo!
Cam and Mac both look good. The running backs all look good. Are we keeping 5? Definitely need to. I think Bolden is the odd man out here. Going to cut Taylor? No way. That guy doesn't get signed by another team.
Bolden's that's a good thing to bring up.
I agree with everything you wrote.
Yeah. It's going to be struggle for him, I think.
That's going to be tough. One of those guys that I don't want to say.
So here's the thing.
I don't want to say.
If you get rid of Bolden, obviously that's a core 4 guy, right, on special teams. Can
Yeah.
a guy like Longy factor in
Right.
and do some of those roles? I don't know. The answer to that, short answer is I don't know if the skill set's similar enough. I would think the kind of athlete would sort of translate to similar roles. It's not like you're looking for a gunner or a vice guy. And you're
Run
like,
down the field,
Well,
tackle.
a big linebacker can't do that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Longy, Bolden,
Yeah.
they seem like kind of similar.
I just think in
body
general,
types.
moving on to, a new generation, younger guys trying to, get a little bit younger anywhere you can. I think that's what's tempting to me. And I mean, I know they love Bolden, and I would bet there's probably a couple teams that would snap him up again if they were to cut him again like they did in, 2019.
Yeah. Anthony in Delaware says, I'm very worried about the DBs.
Very worried.
No, not Andy Hart. The defensive backs. I'm just reading.
That was good. I liked
Andy.
it.
Good.
Specifically, corner without Gilmore, I think we're toast. Look, it was one of our concerns in the pregame show. We didn't learn anything tonight.
No.
We
I wanted to see those guys
maybe
play.
Jawan had a little bit.
I did get a little flash.
D. Virgin, I saw made a couple not plays.
Virgin and Jackson got called for penalties
at
on
the
same
play. I saw it.
So that's
that
not
sums
ideal.
it up. That sums it up.
Kylan Correa says, from what I've seen so far this year, I think
North or south?
Stevenson and Taylor is a better 1-2 punch than Harris and Michelle. And I think all of our 3-down type backs make James White expendable. What say you guys?
I don't agree with the first part, but the second part I don't think is outrageous.
James White.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on the fence with that. And I saw what he caught that. Did he catch that screen pass tonight? Had a little bit of a little contribution there. I was on that earlier. I think he's maybe coming around a little bit. I'm not quite ready to commit to moving
I think
on from
he's been
James
better
White
in
yet.
camp the last week and a half or so, but it also, I'm looking at the amount of screens they've thrown in the first couple of games. I think that's part of what they're thinking about.
Jack in Ann Arbor said, did anyone win a job on the opening day roster tonight? Did anyone lose a job?
I mean, I think Quinn Nordin might have lost one, and I mean Harvey Long he might have won one.
If Nick Folk was healthy, either way, I don't know that just based on last week, if Nordin had showed them enough, he would have to pretty much be perfect.
He's got to hit every kick.
He would have had to
single kick, and especially the extra points.
He was going to have to hit every kick tonight and every kick next week to replace a healthy Nick Folk week 1.
Who walked in 2019, middle of the season, and was pretty good.
And was real
Had
good.
a full season last year and was
Real
very good. And I think they know what they got with him. He's a professional, and if he doesn't work out, I think that they could probably find somebody else.
And if the worst thing you say about Nick Folk is he can't, make anything beyond 47 yards, okay.
We'll just deal with it.
We'll deal with that.
But if we know he's pretty much money from inside.
Is he going to make the extra points?
Yep.
He gets the job.
Yeah.
All right. Let's step aside and see if we can get our audio fixed for our Bill Belichick and Cam Newton press conferences. And if that happens, great. If not, we got a bunch more emails to get to and our closing thoughts on this Patriots postgame show from Gillette Stadium, where we were monitoring the Patriots' 35-0 win over the Eagles in Philadelphia.
When did Bud Light Seltzer start making lemonade?
Probably when 2020 handed us all those lemons.
New Bud Light Seltzer Lemonade, packed with lemonade flavor after a lemon of a year.
Opponent, I've gone up against thousands.
And there's an opponent we're all up against, COVID-19.
But there's a way to beat it. Get vaccinated.
So when it's your turn, roll up your sleeves.
And let's get to the finish line together.
Join the conversation by calling the Ace Ticket hotline at 855-PATS-500 or email the show at webradio@patriots.com.
You gotta love the boss.
I
What stood out to you, Pat? I don't know, the seventh linebacker.
Right, exactly. Well, if you let me finish, Paul.
Live from our studios inside Gillette Stadium, here's Hardy.
Paul looked good on TV tonight.
Mm-hmm.
We're just telling him.
More importantly, did I sound good?
You sounded good, but I'm more. I know that you sound good.
And
You're
you
never
don't-
going to
and you don't
sound
care
bad.
what I say.
No, I do care what you say, but you never sound bad. You're on there talking football. If they ask you to go down there and break down 19th century poetry, I'm like, yeah, you kind of
How about
sound like an
mayo
idiot.
on a hot dog.
All that stuff was good. I'm not concerned
so
with
sure
what you
that- not so
say.
sure that's
I'm not concerned with what you say. When you're on TV, I want to know that you look good, and you looked real good tonight.
Oh, thank you.
That's all.
Thank you.
Jeez Louise.
Why did I
come
fight
on.
you? Deuce,
You fight him.
the amount of times
Fight
that you jump ship and go on to Hardy's side is starting to become troubling.
I just like to fan the flames.
I
a
know you
little
do.
bit.
A little bit he does.
I know.
I do.
It's not. It's hurt.
unbecoming.
It's hurtful.
Travis in West Virginia begins his email. Hello, gentlemen. Ooh,
Hello,
where?
Travis.
Hello,
wait a-
gentlemen.
Wrong address.
Hello, please.
A brief observation for your digestion. I always marvel at the awareness of offensive linemen to fall on the ball when one of their teammates fumbles. Justin Herron was the polar opposite of that when Stevenson fumbled. He could not have been more unaware. Did you notice that?
I didn't.
I didn't notice that.
Now I would need to see the play, but are you telling me the ball was on the ground and
didn't-
he saw
he
it
didn't jump on it?
and decided not to jump on it?
No, I think he's saying he was unaware that the ball was out.
Oh.
Well,
maybe he didn't see it.
so
How's he supposed to know?
He's saying that
like
he's
Teddy the K immediately jumped on the fumble that wasn't,
Of course.
which also was Stevenson, by the way.
Pat Nagawam.
They overturned it in replay.
Oh, that's right. Pat Nagawam. Hey, guys, quarterbacks look pretty good tonight, but the two guys that were sneaky good were Williams and Mills. And he also says smoking, not drinking.
Oh,
So
thank
he's
you.
smoking a marijuana pot pipe, do you
probably.
think? Or is
Was
he
it
more
Mills
of a
that got
blunt
away with the
guy?
blatant hold on the fourth down?
Oh, yeah.
That was so bad that Sosi called it live.
Yes.
I think
Got
it was
away with
Sosi.
one here.
I did not see. I
Yeah.
did not capture that one.
Yep.
Millsy.
He grabbed his shirt.
Did he?
He
I
was
think it was
writing.
Mills.
I believe it. I mean, it sounds like him.
Deuce was in here typing away.
Was he not watching the game?
He
Is
was
this
do-
what I
he
have
was-
to deal with?
he was
Is this
doing
why I have
both.
to carry the
I
show?
just made it up.
And then I really irked him at halftime. I said, "Oh, Shaughnessy's already published his game column." He did. He published it at halftime. Shaughnessy did.
Well,
It was mostly about Cam Newton and how he played.
there were a lot of things you could have written and been done by
It was
halftime
great.
off of that game.
Yeah.
I need a Fred Dan Shaughnessy impression right now. Oh, Cam Newton.
I mean, what else you have to watch? You get Cam Newton out there to start.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, he's going to start week 1. I'm all right about Cam Newton.
Does Fred have a problem with
Dogs
that?
and cats sleeping together. Who'd have thunk? Yeah.
It's a pretty good of Fred. That's a good
That's
impression of
that's
Fred
a good Fred
doing
impression of Dan Shaughnessy.
Yeah.
Because it's not really a great Dan Shaughnessy.
No, it's kind of like Gilbert Gottfried. All of his impressions are Gilbert doing
Yeah.
Andrew Dice Clay.
Right.
You know, it's
Ho!
like it's like two impressions. Hickory dickory dock.
I love how Hardy gives you the facial expression too, just to
Well,
bring it.
you're doing Gilbert.
Just to bring it all
You
together.
have to squint your face up too.
That's not bad, Hardy.
Hey, crew. A
Hey.
developing
Hey.
narrative around Mac Jones recently has been the lack of.
He's a star.
It's been the lack of zip on his passes. Really?
Yeah, I thought he had better zip tonight than I've seen consistently on practices.
Well, Matt says the same thing. Late in the game, it looked like he had some really strong, tight throws. We knew he had it in him from his time in Alabama. Hopefully, doing this on national television will get this tired narrative to fizzle out.
The fact that people care so much about what narratives are will never cease to amaze me.
Yeah.
Well,
Patriots fans worry more about what everybody says about their team than what their team does.
It's not just Patriots fans. People love to talk, and they love to talk about what other people are talking about and what they're saying when they talk about them.
No, they love to be able to blah the people for saying something that they don't agree with about their team.
That too.
That's it. They're completely preoccupied with not only my team won, but I want to tell you how full of poop you were about my team.
Oh, boy.
That's going to make me feel just as good as my team winning.
Yeah.
That's the essence of the Boston fan. All 4 sports, not just Patriots, all 4 sports.
Yeah, I just don't care to ride
Maybe
the
a little
snake
less
with
about
Mac.
the Bruins.
That's why just with Mac, like I think if you can just like instead of get out of the like Cam versus Mac versus the other first round guys and just look at Mac Jones, Patriots quarterback. Just feel good about it.
Right.
Like you got a good player
Let's just say
who's going to develop.
Deuce has it, right? Cam Newton, Mac Jones, first-round pick, develops into a franchise quarterback that you have for the next 12 years, and he's really good.
But is he better than Trey Lance?
Okay. Is it going to make you feel better if he's not only really good, but now you can tell those people that said he didn't have a strong enough arm how wrong they were?
I'm going to go find
Is that
him
going to make you feel
and
better
yell at him.
about the fact that your quarterback is really good for the next 12 years? Don't answer too fast, because the vast majority of fans will feel better if they can stick it in Colin Cowherd's face.
Sure.
That will make them feel better than just having a great quarterback for the next 12 years.
Right.
That's the part of it that I will never understand.
Well, because even if you have a great quarterback for the next 12 years, how many Super Bowls are you going to win? Maybe none.
No,
maybe one.
But I'm just saying, if he's really good and you win a lot of games with him, what do you care about the narratives that were
a homegrown guy?
Before?
Because you don't sit and watch these games in a vacuum. Part of the experience and joy of having a good football team is be able to shove
Make
it
fun
down
of someone who said something bad about your team.
Yes, rub it in the face of somebody who thought otherwise. Yes, that's
how did that make you feel?
It's part of
Did
being
that
a
bother
sports
you?
fan and
Are you-
going
are you
after
sad?
other fans.
Are you upset now? No, like that's just like that whole part of it that I don't really get. And listen, the Max Kellerman thing, the off a cliff thing with Tom Brady, like as silly gets.
Right.
Like when Tom Brady continued to win with the Patriots, did you feel extra special because you were making Max Kellerman look like a buffoon? Like I did. I drew no added enthusiasm from that.
Yeah, it was a different
Just
time.
a little ancillary cherry on top of it all. Like, oh yeah, remember
Now,
him saying that?
does Max Kellerman become a punchline? Sure, deservedly so. He said he was going to fall off a cliff, and he won 3 more titles.
Yeah, but how does that make you
with
feel?
New England?
How does that make you
4
feel
altogether?
better? Yeah, I understand. I see what you're saying.
It feels pretty good.
It feels pretty
In
good.
retrospect,
It feels pretty good that they won 3 more titles with a guy that some said had fallen off a cliff. Not because Max Kellerman got exposed.
Do you feel even exponentially better by somehow being able to say to Max Kellerman,
I don't even care about the Super Bowls. I just wanted to blow.
It's a blanami.
It is. Thank you, Felger and Mass.
I love that.
Kyle has an email where the subject line is Paul Perillo.
Uh-oh.
Kyle says, Pau is now turned into a staunch Cam Newton defender.
No.
What a turn of events. Brandon Cooks and Cam Newton, those are Paul's guys.
Hey, don't fight me on Mount Cooks. Listen,
all jokes aside, love the show. Take care, guys.
I just want to state this really, really specifically once again. If it's up to me, Mac Jones is your Week 1 starter.
Yeah.
I think there's more upside in Mac Jones than Cam Newton.
I describe Paul as militantly fair. Like he's fair. Like
it's one of those backhanded compliments. Militantly.
No.
Like why does he have to? Why can't he just say he's pretty fair?
Yeah, because it brings up
militantly fair.
Yeah, it brings up, it conjures
Bad
up all types
connotations.
of yeah. It's not great. It's not great.
It's not great. I agree.
The thing
it's
with
when Mike pretends to be my friend.
Right. Well, you did make separate Jersey Mike's trips today. Did you not go together?
No, we didn't coordinate.
Okay.
We can do that in the
you
future.
didn't-
Because apparently we have to buy sandwiches for everybody.
I'll tell you why we didn't coordinate last week. I tried to coordinate. I was stopping at Jersey Mike's, and I texted Mike, and I said, would you like anything at Jersey Mike's? To which he texted back with a picture of his bag that he had already had.
The bag of my sandwich. The bag of my sandwich.
When you do go together,
not his ball bag.
Who stands with their arm akimbo, and who puts their hand in the crook of that arm? Who escorts whom?
No one even knows what you're talking about.
Although,
Shut
guess
up.
you know who else I saw at Jersey Mike's today? Patriots left tackle Matt Light. He popped in. Must have used the app. I was like, what the hell is Matt Light doing
Tap
here?
that app.
It's totally weird.
He's actually one of their suppliers because he kills the turkeys with his bow and arrow.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Is that why he just came in and threw a dead turkey at them? And they're like, here you go.
And here's your sub, Matt. Thanks.
They just grabbed it and put it on that slicer.
Do you want it Mike's way?
Hold the feathers. It's got some shotgun shells in it.
Yeah, I guess I do kind of find myself the last 2 weeks being a little defensive of Cam because I am kind of trying to be fair. I think nothing of Cam. I think he was the worst quarterback in football last year. But I have to just evaluate what I've seen in the 2 games. And what I've seen in the 2 games is not the worst quarterback in football.
I'm telling you, I'm not making this up. Check the tape, as they say. Back in January, February, when did they sign him to his this new 1-year deal?
Right before.
It's right
free
before.
agency.
Okay. I said, well, there it is. And it was actually before that, probably when they hadn't gotten anyone else. I said,
right.
This is the quarterback for week 1. Cam's still here. Cam's still talking and acting like a Patriot. So I made my peace with this a long time ago. Tonight's performance, I feel, if beyond any other emotion, encouraged at the prospect of what I already know to be the case, and that is Cam is going to be the week 1 starter. Now, having said all that, I still think it's an interesting argument and discussion as to whether or not you could somehow hinder the development of Mac Jones by not playing him early on, or if you could hurt him by playing him early on.
Yeah.
I say if
Good questions.
if it's inevitable that he's going to play, let him have a couple of bumps in the road early on before week 4 so that he doesn't have to be thrown into the gauntlet, not even for that game, before, during, or immediately after. Let him get his feet wet for a couple of weeks, see how he's playing, and if we've all resigned ourselves to that's going to be the case anyway, rip the Band-Aid off and just do it right away.
Yeah.
Now, that's not going to happen. So I just got to feel better about what I saw today.
Yeah,
And I don't think it will, but we'll see.
I know a lot of people look at week 4 as this inflection point. I look at the first 2 weeks. I just look at those first 2 division games. I look at giving Cam a chance in those games. If he plays well, it goes good. They win those 2 games, then great. We're continuing. If it's back what it was last year, it's a slog. New Orleans comes here week 3. We got some film on New Orleans. Mac understands the drill.
Yep.
I think that's the time when, all right, if it's just not working, Cam's had 2 games, maybe we've lost, maybe we're 1-1. It doesn't seem like it's then I can start to see it. I don't even really care about week 4 as that being like, oh, don't let Mac do that.
Week 4 doesn't have anything
Like,
in. I don't understand that line of thinking.
I
I'm
just
with
look at those
Mike.
two.
It's going to be such a pressure cooker. Everyone's eyes are going to be on that game.
But don't you feel like it's less pressure if you put Mac Jones in? Because because now it's like if you put Cam in, like
I just think you play the guy you think gives you the best chance to win.
You guys
I think it's a very simple equation.
Okay, but you guys, I think, are overlooking and lying to yourselves if you think week 4 is not different. It's not just.
I didn't say that. I didn't say it's not different. I'm
you
saying
have to consider it in terms of who you play that week.
Right. I play the guy I think gives me the best chance to win. Period.
And if it's week 1 of Mac Jones, do you play him?
If I think if what Mike says is right and he comes out and he's a slog fest and plays 3 black games and you're like 1-2, yep.
I would. I wouldn't be afraid of it.
Wow.
Well, I wouldn't be afraid of it.
I hope Mac Jones is the type of guy who wouldn't be afraid of it either and would recognize the importance in the stage but just play through it. I'd be amazed if the team did that.
Look, I don't think it's going to happen
it'd be
either.
a hell of a story, though.
I think the odds of the baton being passed between week 3 and week 4, I think, are probably the lowest that they could be between any weeks of the season.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we don't have audio to accompany our video tonight, so instead we are going to say our goodbyes and get ready for the final preseason game. We are going to spend the next 9 days prepping.
Sunday.
For that final contest a week from Sunday.
Well,
so let's get your final thoughts on tonight's game, Mike, and whatever else you're about to say.
Yeah, good progress. I'm excited. We should point out to joint practices next week, Wednesday and Thursday, 10 a.m. Here at Gillette. It will be the last chance for fans to come and see. So,
and Mike and I will be live on Patriots Unfiltered for those.
Yeah, we'll be live, and it's a great chance to come out and see it. It'll be a good time here. So if you guys are around, go check it out. As for the game, just continue to progress. Haven't learned a ton. I assume every preseason's like this. You're not going to go in knowing exactly who you are or anything like that. Would like to learn a little bit more about this defense and see the quarterbacks continue to grow next week. But hey, I'll take it for what they did. Good week in Philly.
My big takeaway is love what the quarterbacks did tonight. I thought all three actually played well, but the two that we're talking about, Cam and Mac, I thought were both outstanding, and another significant step forward, I think, for Mac Jones.
All right. Well, for me, I thought it was a good step forward for both the quarterbacks tonight. More so for Cam Newton, who just looked more comfortable than he has at any other point during this camp and this preseason. So if he does end up being the week one starter, it was a bigger step for him tonight, but also good performances all around. And for what they played against, they did what they had to do. And what they did was shut out the Eagles in Philadelphia. Your final score for the final time, 35-0. Patriots 2-0 now on the preseason. For everybody here on Patriots.com, both the pre and post, Matt LePan, Matt Morell, our producer, Mike Dussault, and Paul Perillo. We appreciate you listening and watching, and we will talk to you again for pregame for the third and final preseason game.
Thank you for downloading this podcast. Subscribe on Apple, Google Play, and everywhere else you listen. Like the show? Please rate and review us. Listener comments and ratings help keep us high in the podcast rankings so new listeners can find us. Be sure to check Patriots.com for more news and more podcasts.